the first incident where we hear about the voice of God is in Genesis 3 verse 8, where Adam and Eve heard the voice of God walking in the garden. So the voice of God walks. And if you have to hear the voice of God, you have to walk with the voice step by step as He walks. And the only incident in the Bible where you hear about someone walking with God is Enoch. Enoch was the first to walk with God after Adam. He's not just a messenger sent by God. He is a message by God. He is a prototype, a kind of a message of what a walk with God would look like even for us. You first hear about Enoch from Genesis 5 verse 22. Enoch walked in habitual fellowship with God after the birth of Methuselah 300 years and had other sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years, and Enoch walked in habitual fellowship with God, and he was not, for God took him. What is interesting to note about the life of Enoch is he is able to walk with God, and at the same time he's able to live a life on earth, having a family, having sons and daughters. Many people think that in order to be spiritual or to walk effectively with God in a realm that Enoch walked in, the understanding that people tend to have is you need to have a secluded or a set apart life. But the walk that Enoch had with God included his walk with his family. And what we know about his walk with God is recorded in Hebrews 11:5, that he was able to walk with God to a point that he was translated to the heavens. And even before he was taken up to heaven, he receives a testimony that he pleased God, that God was so pleased with him, to a point that God had to take him where he was. Now, the kingdom of God consists of many different types of messengers who are a message. There are many different streams. There are people of God who have subdued kingdoms, who have obtained promises, who have closed the mouth of lions. And here is one man who has the record and the testimony that he walked with God. There's no calling fire from heaven. There's no opening the Red Sea. There's no signs and wonders that is recorded that we know of about him. There's just one thing that the heavens testify about this man, that God just wants us to know about him, that he walked with God. And the fact that he walked with God pleased God to a point that God took him. Now, when you consider the beloved of God in the Bible, like Daniel or John the Apostle, or even those who have walked intimately with God, like Enoch, their lives are often shrouded in mystery and they're often hard to understand. But it is these people who are entrusted with the greatest message of all, the proclamation of the return of Jesus. When you study those who are entrusted with the message of the return of Jesus, it's only the beloved of God who are entrusted with revelations of this. It's only those who walk intimately with God who are permitted to proclaim the return of Jesus. And Enoch was the first man in the Bible who is recorded to prophesy of the return of Jesus in Jude 14. So Enoch was the first one of whom it is written that he prophesied. He is the father of prophets. He is the prototype of what the prophetic ministry should actually look like. His lifestyle should be the lifestyle of what the true prophets of God should actually walk and model after. And he is not just a prophet. Enoch is a prophecy spoken to us by God. And his life carries the most important message of all, that we have been called to walk with God. We have been called to walk with God to a point that the natural limitations of this world would stop applying to us, to a point that we are translated and we begin to function beyond the realm of man, to a point that we're no longer under the control and the dictates of the Herods of this world, to a point where even death or any limitation of this world would no longer apply to us, where we carry a testimony that we please God, where we become the point of His habitation on earth, to a point that we become so inseparable with the God that we walk in, that God has no other choice or option, that He has to carry us where He is, that we are translated to the realm where God functions out of. Enoch is not just a messenger of God, he is a message of God, and his life carries the greatest message of all. We are called to walk with God. Now, when we consider our walk with God, what constrains us, what limits us from becoming the very object of the pleasure of God? We can pursue God for many things. We can pursue God for being the best prophet in the world. We can pursue God for breakthroughs. We can pursue God for financial miracles. We can pursue God for many different things. But there was a man who walked on earth, and his one objective was to become the pleasure of God. And he's the only one who carries the testimony that he walked with God. What are we pursuing in our walk with God? What limits us? And what is the extent to which our walk with God go? What do the heavens testify about our lives? May you know that your life is a message, and that message matters a lot to the kingdom of God. In a world and in a time where there are people who are known for many different things, may there be a generation that rises up that is known for just one thing, that they walk with God. God bless you.